Please cut that out, or not. I'm going to drink my coffee. Prepare to get gas because it's time for the Week in Gear. This week, Steve Vai partners with Positive Grid, Johnny Cash gets a signature guitar from The Grave, and Jack White designs a reverb pedal. Here's a hot take. It's almost as if people don't pay for music anymore, and artists rely on other ways of making income. Funny that. This week is sponsored by guitar auctions at Gardner Holgate. More about them in a bit. Now, let's kick off this week's most exciting guitar gear releases with a pedal from MXR. The MXR Layers is a new ambient freeze pedal from MXR. This delivers the kind of effect that's potentially confusing for some, so to sum it up in simply, if you play something into this, you can hold that note or chord forever, or until you have to stop playing guitar and go back to work or do something else. You can then play over this held note or chord, creating ambient soundscapes galore, stacking layer upon layer of music. Clever name, you see. To quote MXR, there are notes and chords trapped in a moment's echo. And I think that's beautifully poetic. Whoever wrote that should just take the rest of the day off. I almost want to get it tattooed on my lower back. Brings a tear to my eye. The Layers pedal is somewhere between a delay and a looper, so anyone who's familiar with the layout of a delay pedal should be fine with this. But it also has a sub-octave for creating lower notes in your freeze or your layers. I like that it's just the size of a standard pedal, because sometimes when you get these pedals, they can be behemoths. And it has a control socket for using an external foot switch or an expression pedal, or for sending a dry output, so that you can use it for a dry, wet split mode and send the layers to one amplifier, so the ambient sound to one, and then a dry signal to another amp, and therefore opening up even more space for creativity. Or maybe another Layers pedal, and then you've got layers of layers. And if you play some John Mayer, then you can have layers of John Mayer. I'm trying to think of another one. Layer. What rhymes with layer? Layer. If you're Princess Leia playing some John Mayer with the layers, then, well, that's something. I can see myself losing an entire weekend and more to this pedal. And if you play guitar on your own a lot, this is the kind of toy that's worth investing in. Not that you can't create real music with it, not that it's not a real piece of gear, but it's also a toy for having fun with. And it's quite complicated, but it's not cheap. And I've seen it for around 300 notes, so it's not like one of those no-brainer pickups, but it is cheaper than other ways that can cause you to lose your mind for an entire weekend. Johnny Cash SJ200 and Rosanne Cash J81215185. In all seriousness, I've been in love with Johnny Cash's Gibson SJ200 for quite a few years now. It's big, it's ridiculously bold, and it bears the name of a hero of mine. So I should be over the moon that Gibson have finally released a Johnny Cash signature. I should be equally excited that his daughter Rosanne Cash has a signature J185, which does look like the daughter of Johnny's daddy guitar. Cute. Should be excited, and I am, but I was forgetting one crucial tiny thing about this legendary guitar, and that is that it's made by the people that currently own Gibson. And Gibson take my hero worshipping and nostalgia and distill it all down and somehow turn it into money. Big money. Johnny Cash's original SJ200 was a custom order from Gibson in the 50s, and Johnny got his name inlaid on the fretboard in mother of pearl, and Johnny himself designed that ridiculously huge Batman sort of functional pickguard. The recreation of Johnny's original has a Sitka spruce top and solid flamed maple back and sides, and that mother of pearl inlay is on a rosewood fretboard, which sits on a two-piece maple neck. Unlike Johnny's, however, this has an LR Baggs VTC acoustic pickup, so you can plug it in. Before I go any further, Gibson only made 100 of these, so you can probably guess that the price is astronomical. And at around 15,000 notes, you'd be right. As easy as this is for me to turn into rage bait, I'm genuinely disappointed. And instead of being a player's guitar, these are clearly for collectors, not as family hand-me-downs as Rosanne Cash desires for in the accompanying marketing video. Shame. Speaking of Rosanne, her signature guitar is a J185, which is slightly smaller than the J200. This is less a museum piece and more for the serious player with some cash. The J185's top is thermally treated aged Sitka spruce with a solid flame maple back and solid flame maple sides, a slim taper mahogany neck, and Indian rosewood fretboard, and it's got parallelogram inlays, which is always fun to say. And this guitar is slightly less ostentatious and bold, but still has mother of pearl inlays, still has mother of pearl on the bridge and even on the pickguard, which simply says Cash. Bear with me on this while I insert an obvious joke. It has the inlay on the pickguard Cash, which I don't know if that's referring to the name of the musical family or the only thing that Gibson look for when they look at guitar players. I actually feel pretty disrespectful saying that, but it had to be said, so I did. And quite frankly, they're probably laughing about it at the Gibson offices, so why don't we? This J185 is a relative bargain at a mere 5,000 notes. But now it's time to talk about our sponsor, Guitar Auctions at 𝗬𝗙𝗎𝗪, where they have guitars galore. If you're looking for a bucket list guitar or a bargain, Guitar Auctions at 𝗬𝗙𝗪 have some very interesting listings coming up. To see what I'm talking about, go to their website at guitarauctions.co.uk, scroll down and try to avoid their Instagram, and then click on View Catalogue. One of my favourite things to do is to type in my favourite artists. Nothing, sadly, for Kurt Cobain. Let's try Brian May. You can see it's already in my search history. There is a Guild Brian May standard. If you're into the quirky older stuff, there's a harmony amplifier there from the 60s, estimated at 150 to 250. You can also search brands, so let's see what Ibanez stuff they've got. Anything cool? There. Ibanez GRG 131DX BKF, cheers Ibanez, for estimated between 50 and 80 pounds. Brilliant. There's another one there, 50 to 80 pounds, so you could buy two. The most fun thing, even if you're not going to buy, is just to register to bid and watch the auctions live when you probably should be working. And you can do that by going to any of the items you see in the catalogue and clicking click here to bid. The whole thing starts on Tuesday, the 3rd of September, and all the information you need is on the Guitar Auctions website. Now, back to the show. Welcome back, and breathe. This is the part where I say, if you're enjoying this weekly show, consider that subscribe button, and the thumbs up button, and the thumbs down button, and the button, so more people get to see it in the future. Thank you! Rockett is one of those companies that can't seem to make a bad pedal. Everything they've ever made has deeply impressed me and instantly feels and sounds premium. And I was worried that their version 2 of their classic Blue Note Select, he says as he unplugs it from his pedal board, would break that winning streak. But I can tell you that after just plugging this in through my Fender Deluxe Reverb and my Boss Katana, it brought out my stank face and various big smiles. The Blue Note Select is a low-gain drive pedal, but with an additional hot switch, where things can get pretty gnarly. There are knobs for volume, gain, tone, and fat, and if you're looking for something bluesy and raunchy, then you really should be taking a look at the Blue Note Select. I will have a review of this coming very soon, and it's one of those pedals that you need to let speak for itself, but I can tell you that if you are shopping for a low gain to pretty hot overdrive, and you get the chance to plug one of these in, if the budget allows, this could end up on your board almost too easily. And speaking of budgets, this is coming in at around 230 notes, depending on where you are in the world. So outside of the US, it's a little bit more expensive, of course, and I'm sure Victor has relevant pricing over there. Thanks, Victor! The Positive Grid Spark amps are, in my opinion, a revelation in guitar playing. They're full of features, they're compact, and they generally sound good to great. My first experience with the original Spark did genuinely blow me away. I felt like I was in the sound of my guitar for the first time ever. However, my experience with the Spark Mini was not so good, and I was not a fan of that amp. However, that could change now because the guitar-playing devil himself, Steve Vai, has released a signature Spark Mini. This has a custom Steve Vai finish and speaker grill. You get 4 presets created by Steve himself, plus some of Steve's backing tracks and loops. The rest of the amp, the internals and everything, seems to be exactly the same as a regular Spark Mini as far as I can tell, and it is compatible with everything that the non-Steve version is. You also get a custom burgundy weave cable, and I've just realized that Ron Burgundy wears a burgundy suit. If you take away the Vai-ness of this amp, it is a 10-watt practice amp that has a huge library of tones and presets and things you can download. It's a Bluetooth speaker with a rechargeable battery that can last up to 8 hours. It is super light at just over 1 kilo, and it is perfect for warming up backstage or jamming in your living room or wherever. Put the Vai back in, and this is the closest many of us will ever get to jamming with Steve. So, if you're a Steve Vai fan, this does seem like a no-brainer. And if you're not, you don't have to use Steve's presets because you can download stuff from the Positive Grid cloud. And I must say, the Steve Vai Spark Mini would be welcomed in my house just because of how it looks. I think it's classy. No price has been announced yet, but the Paul Gilbert Signature Edition was $299, so my guess is that this will be the same price. And yes, that does seem a lot of money for a tiny 10-watt amp, but what you're paying for here is what's underneath the grills and inside it, rather than, well, you're paying for convenience and cool stuff that's in it, and yeah, plus there's that signature artist premium. It is worth mentioning that there are 100 signed Steve Vai Spark Minis that will randomly go out to whoever pre-orders the amp. So if you pre-order it, you could get something with Steve's signature on it. I met Steve Vai once. I asked him to pass the salt. He did.
Andy's Pick of the Week.
Ooh, Third Man Hardware and Anasound's 𝗬𝗏𝗏. That's my pick of the week. And it is a pedal reverb with a preamp in it. And it pretty much changed my mood this week forever. Or was it this week? Well, last week I recorded the video, but this week I released it and I've played it some more. And simply put, this is so much fun. I love it. The 𝗬𝗏𝗏, or simply 𝗬𝗏𝗏, is from Third Man Hardware, Jack White's company, and Anasounds from France, who made the Elements Reverb and some Dystopia and Utopia pedals, and they're great. And I genuinely think that could be up for Pedal of the Year for me. The 𝗬𝗏𝗏 is an analog spring reverb in a pedal with a preamp that can also be an overdrive, and it is so much fun. If you've seen my review video, you'll know that it made me smile a lot, and I got so excited I made music with it and had to simply just keep playing it. And if you haven't seen my review video, why not? It's up there. You can click the card or continue watching. The 𝗬𝗏𝗏 has 3 springs inside and knobs for dry and wet mix, and then also you can adjust the sound of the tone by adjusting low and high, not just with a tone knob. On and off foot switch, in and out, 9 volt. There it is. Sounds simple, sounds beautiful. Now, if you're looking at mine thinking, that doesn't look like the one I've seen on the internet, it's because there are 2 editions available. This yellow limited edition one and the standard black. And as far as I know, well, I do know, they're exactly the same inside. It's just that one's going to stand out more on your pedal board. Now, there has been some pushback about the price, which I totally understand, but this is hand-built in France, and I've never built an analog reverb pedal, but I don't think that I could build it for much cheaper than €349, which is what they're asking for it. I am, however, not totally insensitive. I know that that is a lot of money still. I know we were talking about Johnny Cash's SJ200 earlier, but even $349 is not a dip in the ocean. If you are looking for a dark-ish spring reverb with a drive that can do really greasy blues a la Jack White or the Black Keys, and you don't want to turn up a Fender Tweed to 11, then I highly recommend La Grotta. Thank you to the wonderful people that support this show on Patreon. Their names are up on the screen right now. Hi, everybody. And these people support the show right here on YouTube. Hiya, hello to you. How are you doing? Good? Fine, thanks. I appreciate the support. Seriously, thank you so much. It always sounds ingenuine when I say disingenuine. I know. It sounds like I'm taking the mickey when I say that, but I truly mean it. If you saw those names and thought, well, my name's not up there, then you could have your name up there by clicking the join button right here on YouTube or by visiting my Patreon link in the video description. And as always, here's a special thanks to the top tier members this week in one breath and alphabetical order. Alinta Boston, Buddha Blue, Boom Shakalaka, Buzzle, Dirk, Doug Paget, Hugh, G. Rection, Johnny McBadminton, Michael 𝗦𝗨𝗧𝗪𝗧, Pop's Place, This prank is officially sponsored by Jason Welch, Andrew Morgan, Dustin Bonney, Gary O'Neill, Josh Tamberg, BQ Tets, Robin Kelly, Sir Agner Ryan, Southern Panda 33. Genuinely the hardest I've ever done. Thank you, top tier members. Whoa, I nearly blacked out then. Okay, I bet the whole world went zzz, zzz, like an old TV. Remember, you don't need any of this gear to sound good, but who am I to decide that for you? Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, dear me. I'm okay, I'm just gonna stay here for a bit. Oh.